Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope
Good morning,
everyone
madam.
can. Yes, I hope you can hear me. So, today's presentation and lecture will be about how to prepare a questionnaire, and this lecture will be given by Dr. Sunjo Fabian, Professor Sunjo Fabian. So, please kindly take down necessary points that will help guide you to write a better or to prepare a better questionnaire. If you have any questions, you just put your hands up and we'll get back to you once it's time to respond to questions. So for those present here, you're going to write on the comment section your name and your program. Your name and your program on the comment section. Prof, are you ready? I see a hand up. Your name and your program on the
Yes,
comment section.
Sally.
Yes, doctor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, doctor. Sorry, you said something about writing something. I didn't get you well.
Yes, I said you should write your name and your program on the comment section.
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
Yes. All right, you're welcome.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, Prof.
Sir.
We are sorry for the start due to some technical issues. And so we are going to write on. Uh, Today, I will be exchanging with you on questionnaire development or questionnaire designing. Generally, when students are about to go to the field to collect data, it seems as if it's a bitter pill to swallow because constructing questionnaire is not an easy task. Because of this, several
We can't hear you, Prof.
Okay, can you get me now? Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
Prof.
we can.
I can get you.
Okay. I was just saying that sometimes students they feel when they want to design a questionnaire,
it's as if they want to swallow a bit. It's a bitter pill to be swallowed. And as such, some people are always skeptical about any study in which the questionnaire was designed by the student themselves. Many experts are of the opinion that policy implications that are made based on questionnaire designed by students are not relevant. And the advice they often give is for the student to go in for secondary data. For secondary data. However, in the event where there is no secondary data, students are obliged to go in for primary source of data. They are obliged to go in for primary source of data. And even students who are working on secondary source of data must be able to understand how the questionnaire that led to the development of the secondary source of data was constructed. It is very important to understand that. So if you are students here present on this platform, and you are thinking that you are going to use secondary data, it does not mean that this presentation is not useful for you. Because even in the advent where you are using secondary data, it will be relevant for you to consult the questionnaire that led to the development of the secondary data or secondary source of data that you are using. That said, I want to set the scene on the importance of questionnaire designing. Remember that the policy and the conclusion that we are going to infer will depend on the quality of the instrument. So if the instrument is poorly designed, the recommendations and the conclusions have no value. They have no value. And in research, there are two concepts that are always mentioned. We have the concept of validity and the concept of reliability. All these concepts rely on the way the questionnaire was designed and administered. It is important for us to understand what is validity and concept that whosoever is designing a questionnaire should study and understand its relevance. Because without you understanding the concept of validity and reliability, the questionnaire that you are going to construct will have no use or will make no sense. What is validity? Validity is to ensure that the instrument measure what it intends to measure. Validity try to analyze or to check if the questions in the questionnaire are capturing what it intends to capture. And for this validity test to go through, the way the questions were designed is very important. The next concept, which is very important, is that of reliability. And reliability, we are talking about the consistency of our instrument when administered. For instance, let me just explain something. If I administer questionnaires to students now, and I want to understand their typing skills, if Mr. John, after administering the questionnaire, score 80%, I should not come tomorrow and administer the same questionnaire in the same class, and Mr. John now has the least score. It means that my questionnaire is not reliable. Reliability is an important thing that the researcher needs to understand when he's constructing his questionnaire, so that he can make the questions or whatsoever method of administering to be reliable. so the questionnaire can be reliable. Are you getting me? Are you getting me?
Yes, doctor. Yes, prof. We're getting yes, prof. We're getting
yes, prof.
Okay. It's okay. Thank you. I was thinking that you are not getting me. So these concepts are very important concepts that you need to master before you start designing the questionnaire. Validity is the question, the way I frame my question, the way I design my question. Is it capturing what I intend that the question should capture? Reliability, consistency. If I administer the questionnaire today and the finding that I have for that sample, if tomorrow I administer the same questionnaire, will the finding be the same? If the findings are not the same, it means that there is a problem of reliability. And the way your questionnaire is designed and administered will affect these two important concepts. So if we want to have a valid and reliable instrument, it will be important that the way we design the question, the way we administer the questionnaire should be such a way that respect all this, what we are going to see today. What is a questionnaire? Our lecture of today will be tilting to about 80% towards quantitative study. However, I will be talking to about qualitative studies. So the way I define questionnaire here, I tilted the definition to quantitative study. And I said a questionnaire is a set of questions that are designed to generate statistical information. I wrote statistical information in red. So a questionnaire that does not permit us to generate in social sciences statistical information is not a good questionnaire. So we will construct or design our questionnaire in such a way that it permits us to generate statistical information. What shall we do with this statistical information? It will permit us to describe, to compare, to explain, to understand the attitude and behavior of the sample we administer the questionnaire to. So a questionnaire is a set of questions designed to generate statistical information. I want to insist again, statistical information, because I'm tilting towards quantitative study. Questionnaire too could be generated to obtain information, and the information is not statistical. That one could be for qualitative study. Now, there is something I want to tell you which is very important. The way a question is specified can have two effects. The way you design your questionnaire will have two effects. What is the first effect? It will influence the respondent willingness to participate. If the questionnaire is poorly designed, if the questionnaire is poorly constructed, it will influence the willingness of the respondent or the to-be respondent to participate in that questionnaire. So we must use, there are some technicalities that we must use to enable people to respond, to increase the willingness to respond. Next, the way we design the questionnaire will influence the response the respondent will provide. Listen again. The way you design your questionnaire can influence the answer that the respondent are going to give. And that will not be a good questionnaire. A question, when you set a question in a questionnaire, The way you said it should not influence the respondent the way it's going to respond. I want to paint the picture. Generally, students will use the word primary data, secondary data, but that is not the appellation. The real appellation should be primary source of data, secondary source of data. Sometimes students will use information from literature and they will call it data. When you read your literature, what you obtain from it is information. Is information which is different from data. So as far as data is concerned, we have primary source of data and we have secondary source of data. And in our lecture of today, we shall be concentrating on what is referred to as primary source of data, because we are the one going to the field to obtain or to request for this data. We are not using data that was obtained by another organization or another person. So I want you students to understand that you will no longer be talking again of primary data, that you're talking about primary source of data and secondary source of data, and be able to make the distinguo that exists between data and information. Why do we need a questionnaire? Why is a questionnaire important? Why is the instrument called questionnaire relevant than other instruments? The importance of the instrument called questionnaire can be seen from its capability to standardize. To standardize whatever we ask. It means since I'm asking the same questions to different respondents, it means that they can be comparable. I will not meet individual A and I'll ask a different question, and I will meet individual B, I ask a different question. In that case, it is not standardized and I cannot compare. Since I will give them the same questions, questionnaire increase the speed and accuracy of recording. When you administer
Hello?
Hello there.
Yes. Prof, your mic is off. Yes, it's okay now.
Okay. I was informed my mic is off. Now, it is okay now. Now, when you don't design your questionnaire appropriately, what will be the consequences? You will see incomplete information. The information that will give them inaccurate data, and it might lead to high costs. And that is why today, this lecture presentation is important, as it will permit you, students, to be able to design your questionnaire that will respect the principle of reliability and validity. What is questionnaire design? When we talk about questionnaire design, what are we talking about? Questionnaire design is when the student is contemplating on the type of question he's going to ask. The nature of the question: should I ask open-ended question? Should they be closed question? How should I structure my questions? How should I structure my questionnaire? What should be the nature of the question I'm going to ask? How many questions do I need to create in the questionnaire? Which one should I start with, and what are the questions I should end with? Should I go in for qualitative questions? Should I go in for quantitative types of questions? How should I design my questionnaire? All this involve questionnaire design. Very important. Very important. Before you design a questionnaire, you should check something I'm going to say, which is very important. You must consider 6 things when designing a questionnaire. Number 1, your topic. Your topic. Your topic. And your topic. In your topic, you are going to have concepts in the topic. You must transform this concept into variable, to be a variable. And when it's a variable now, you will not translate it to an objective. I want that you understand this one very well. Example, a student having his topic with a concept referred to as strategic management. When you say strategic management, it's a concept. How do I convert that concept to a variable? A variable means something that is varying, something that you can capture. Because before I design a question, it's difficult to design a question for a concept, but it's easier to design a question for a variable. Okay, a concept such as strategic management. If I now ask you design questions on strategic management, it will be challenging. But if I convert the concept strategic management to the variable quality of strategic management, you will now know how you can design questions that can capture the quality of strategic management. So, dear students, I want that you should understand this very well. When I want to design my questionnaire, it will depend on my topic. But if my topic have concept instead of variables, I must be able to convert the concept to variables. And after I converted the concept to variable, I now create my objectives based on the variables. Because any objective that is based on a variable, it will be easier for me to design questions that will be able to capture that variable. But if I'm thinking of a concept, it becomes difficult. very difficult to design questions. So the first trick is to be able to convert concepts to variables. And I gave you an example of a concept referred to as strategic management. This is not a variable. For me to convert it to variable, I can now refer to it as quality of strategic management. In that case, now there will be words or question that I can ask to be able to measure the quality of strategic management. The next thing when designing a questionnaire, when we are doing questionnaire design, you must think, number 2, about who will answer that questionnaire. To who do I want to administer this questionnaire to? Unit of study. Is it an individual? Is it an organization? Very important. Sometimes I have seen students who are there to design a questionnaire to be administered to organization, and they are asking the gender of the organization, and they are asking the age of the organization. So on constructing the questionnaire, primo, I need to think on who is going to answer. Is it the individuals? Because there are questions that can be directed to the individuals and not to the organizations. There are some questions that can be directed to the organization and not to the individual. So think about the respondent. Think about the unit of study who is going to respond to this question. They will affect our questions in the questionnaire. Number 3 thing that you need to think very well when constructing a questionnaire is to think, are you carrying a qualitative or a quantitative research? Because the questions that are asked in a qualitative research are not the same questions that will be asked in a quantitative research. In a qualitative research, qualitative, most of the questions will be open-ended questions. Whereas in a quantitative research, we will have closed-ended questions. So if the student has made his mind that the research design he is using is qualitative, it means that most of the questions in the questionnaire will be open-ended. Whereas if the student has made his mind that he is carrying out a quantitative study, most of the questions in the questionnaire will be close-ended. So if you have not thought about the design first, whether it's qualitative or quantitative, and you want to develop a questionnaire, it becomes challenging and difficult. Next, the 4th thing that you need to understand when you want to design a questionnaire is to think how you are going to administer it, the method of administration. Will it be a face-to-face administration? Will it be a telephone administration? Will it be a website administration? Now listen, and I will not be present and I'm going to send it by email to someone. Open-ended questions will not be relevant. However, if I'm supposed to be there face-to-face, then I can ask open-ended questions. So the method of administration will tell me the way I will design the question. Open-ended questions, which might be there to capture qualitative aspect, are good when the researcher is standing there and is talking, because it might be an interview. You might have a questionnaire that is linked to an interview and you are there. Next, when you want to design a questionnaire, think about your budget. Think about your budget. Think about how quick you need the information. I was supervising a student who brought to me a questionnaire that was about, I don't think about 9 to 10 pages. And my question was, who will respond to this? It is too much. We have to screenshot and remove all the irrelevant questions that are not linked to our objectives. How quick do you need the information? It will tell you the length of your questionnaire. If that one is clear, then I'm happy that you understand what you should do or think before you start designing a questionnaire. What are the criteria for constructing a questionnaire? Please, I have seen students who go in to administer questionnaire to obtain data that exists already.
Christoph, please mute your mic. You're distracting the lecture. Hi, Prof.
I have seen students who constructed a questionnaire and they were seeking for information that exists already. The only condition for you to design a questionnaire is this: you cannot obtain data from any other source. That is the reason why you should design questionnaire. Please, I don't want students to design questionnaire to collect data that exists already. If secondary data exists already on what you are looking for, you better go in for it. But if it does not exist, it gives you now the raison d'etre to design or to develop or construct your own questionnaire. Your questionnaire, I mentioned about it, should be as short as possible, however comprehensive enough to gather the information. Your questionnaire should be attractive, and that's what I will be teaching you here. I will teach you on how to make the questionnaire attractive. It should have a particular structure. And your questionnaire should be arranged in sections. A student has a questionnaire of about 40 questions, and you just throw the 40 questions, no section. And the respondent is the one trying to imagine. When you structure your questionnaire in various sections, it is, and it permits the questionnaire to be attractive. It is important to start to sequence your question by starting from general question, that means simple question, then to complex question. Because a respondent can accept to fill your questionnaire, and the first two questions are very challenging, and he will drop, he will no longer continue. But if he had filled already some other easier questions, and along the line he see a challenging question, he will not go, because he will be thinking about, I wasted already time and I feel already the part above. Let me just try to complete. Please, on constructing our questionnaires we are going to do and questions, avoid embarrass or annoying questions. We are going to see that. And the last thing, the questionnaire the question in the questionnaire should be arranged to ease analysis. To ease analysis. For instance, when you design your questions and you give options and you say and others, name them. Sometimes it is difficult for the statistician, it is difficult for you to analyze and others, name them. So when you are designing the questionnaire, when you are doing questionnaire design, or development, you're already thinking that the way you are structuring your question in such a way that it will ease analysis. Some of the issues is that, please, dear students, before you construct any questionnaire, make sure you investigate other studies and how they constructed their own questionnaire. You are not an island. No matter your topic, try to investigate other questionnaires that have been constructed that are linked to your topic. Most of the time, you might check any thesis, PhD thesis, master's thesis. You might write to some organization where they have data already, but the particular data you are looking for does not exist, so that they can send to you their questionnaire and you go through them. You need to obtain help. Don't just close yourself in your room, design a questionnaire at your bed, on your bed, and you go to administer. You must need help. Never you design a questionnaire and administer it without carrying a pilot test. That means where you go first and test the questionnaire. If there are some challenges, if the questions are well understood by the respondent, never go to the field without giving your questionnaire to your supervisor. Never and never and never and never. If you send your questionnaire to the supervisor and he says nothing, that does not guarantee you to go to the field. He must say something on the questionnaire. If you send your chapter 1 to the supervisor, he says nothing. You send chapter 2, he says nothing. Chapter 3, he says nothing, no problem. But when it comes to questionnaire, he must say something. Because questionnaire designing is not a one-man show. Questionnaire development must be done by a team. And during your pilot stage, you might try different questions. Maybe the respondent said, we could not answer this. You now try to see how to reframe the question and see if it will be okay. Number 6 point, very important. If you are testing a theory, you want to gather information. You want to gather statistical information to test a theory. Think, will you be using control variables? And if you will be using control variables, it means you must design questions to capture the control variables. I repeat again. Sometimes students focus on the theory, focus on their specific objectives, and they forget that they were supposed to use control variables. If you are supposed to use control variables, then you must design questions for the control variables. Control variables are those variables that are not linked to our objective. They are not the reason why we went to the field, but we are going to insert them in our reading, the things the student needs to think about before he takes his pen to start developing a questionnaire. And if you've understood that very well, and you brainstorm on it before taking a pen to start writing and developing the questions in your questionnaire, I think issues of validity and reliability that is linked to the method of administration will be solved to an extent. Types of questionnaire. In the literature, there are two types of questionnaire: self-completed questionnaire and interview-led questionnaire. In the self-completed questionnaire, there are those questionnaires that I will give to the respondent, and I will not be there to direct him on anything. I can post it It can be an electronic questionnaire. I am not there to discuss anything with him. However, there's another set of questionnaire where I need to be there, present. We are saying so because the way they will be designed will vary. We have self-completed questionnaire and interview-led questionnaire. These are the two types. And the way we are going to structure or design them will vary. We move now to the question and the questionnaire proper. I am assuming at this level that you've taken your pen already. You have your pen in front of you and you have your sheet of paper where you want to start structuring your questionnaire. A questionnaire has an introductory part. I want to talk about the part now. When you start a questionnaire, you must have an introduction. And what are you going to be talking in the introduction? At the beginning of any questionnaire, indicate who you are and why you are doing the survey. Very important. Who are you? My name is XXX. I'm a student from XX school, Kesmont International University. Then why are you doing this study? I'm an MSc student, and part of the requirement to fulfill or to have an MSc is to be able to carry out the research, and that is what I'm doing. So the who and the why is very important in the introduction. And if necessary, that is the case, indicate how the respondent was selected. We selected your organization because your organization was dealing with this product, because your organization was one of the outstanding organizations when it comes to branding. We selected your organization because of this. Sir, we selected you because of two things, this and that. In this introduction, you might indicate how the questions are to be answered. Should they tick? Should they cycle the right answer? What should be done? In these 2 points, will depend if an administering led questionnaire or interview-led questionnaire, as you can see above. It will depend if I'm administering a self-completed questionnaire or an interview-led. So you see that there are some points, the last 2 points will be moving towards self-completed questionnaire that I posted. But if I'm present and I'm going to administer the questionnaire and you fill it and you give me back, I don't need information about due date. I don't need information about how you are going to return it. So that one must be playing the introduction if I'm carrying an interview-led. For instance, we are giving an example of an introduction. I'm student XXX. I'm an MSc student from Kesmont International University, and I'm conducting a survey on the topic. You place your topic. In order to complete this survey, we need your help and your cooperation. We really appreciate your cooperation for taking part in this survey so that we can gather information for our report, for our thesis, for our dissertation. The questionnaire consists of 4 sections. Please tick the appropriate answer. This could be an introduction of a questionnaire. Number 2 thing that enter in the introduction is what is called confidentiality statement. You must tell the respondent whether they will be what is feeling was anonymous or not. For instance, all information given will be treated as confidential. All information provided will be treated as completely confidential, and it will not be possible for anyone to identify the information that you will give us. Nobody will be able to decipher that the information you gave us is coming from you. Why are you doing this? Because it will influence and motivate the respondent. He will no longer be afraid, and he will give you answers to your questions that are as objective as possible. I have seen students design a questionnaire and ask, what is your name? What is your name? It is not done. You have just violated the confidentiality statement. If this person or the respondent knows that his name has been given, the information he was going to give will be biased. So in the introduction, we need to talk about confidentiality statement. And the last thing in the introduction is question instruction. And this one can be done at the beginning of each section. Each section may have their instructions. The instruction might vary as I pass from one section to another. You must indicate the form of the answer that you are expecting, because you might be expecting a different form of answer and the respondent is giving you a different form of answer. It means that that statistical information will not be relevant and will question the validity of that instrument. For instance, please give your opinion, give your answer for the statement by placing a tick into the appropriate box. Cycle the appropriate answers. Very important at the beginning of your questionnaire. As far as questions order are concerned, always start with the easiest question, which are usually close-ended. Why are we saying close-ended? Because close-ended question will not permit the respondent to be thinking that the finding might vary as I move from one group of person to another. Do you know, dear students, that if I administer questionnaire to talk about divorce, about the causes of divorce, if I administer the questionnaire only to male, adult male, do you know that the answer will be completely different and the recommendation will be completely different? If I ask or administer a questionnaire to ladies about divorce, the drivers or the reason of divorce, their response will be completely different. So it is important that when I'm giving my recommendation or taking a decision, we need to know the background of the respondent, because the recommendation or the decision we want to take might be driven by the type of people that responded to the questionnaire. So it is important to ask this question such that when I look at the response, the findings,
you.